Hello BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing a bit of a wrap up for January and also sort of just talking about some of the things that I've been enjoying in January. I decided I'm not going to do wrap ups in the same way anymore because I don't know, they're not the sort of thing that I tend to watch unless I'm particularly interested in the books, and I'm not that interested necessarily in hearing about negatives from people, and I know that for some people that really helps them to decide whether they want to pick up a book, but I just want to hear about all the good stuff. So I have been loving, just to speak about something that I have been loving, I decided that I was going to do my book journal on my iPad, and I tried it a little bit last year. It didn't really work, and I thought, right, I'm going to try it again. So I've been using an app called Zinnia, and I'll just show you here. I set up my journal. Here I've chosen the front cover and I've just named it something quite basic, and then if you click on it, it takes you through and you can design the pages however you want. So if you want to see my pages of that, let me know in the comments and I'll try and make a video talking you through my setup for my 2021 online journal. I'm just finding that works better for me. I'm not very artistic, but I'm quite artistic in terms of computerized and digital design. I'm just not very arty in terms of drawing myself. So I did a page talking about some of the books that I love this month and some of the TV shows and films that I've been loving. So I'll talk to you about those, and then I just want to talk to you about a few random things that I've been enjoying. So let's start with the books. I didn't have any 5-star reads this month, which was quite disappointing, but not surprising really. I've really been quite harsh on handing out those 5 stars in the last 6 months, and I just haven't had anything. So I've had an enjoyable time reading, but just nothing that's really hit the mark. So the 3 books that I want to talk to you about are Open Book by Jessica Simpson, which is a memoir, and I picked this up because so many people had it on their 2020 best of list of non-fiction and said how surprising it was, how open and honest she was, and I'm old enough to remember the TV show that she had with Nick Lachey when they got married. I remember her first singles coming out, and I remember sort of this whole persona that she had. She was a bit ditzy, a bit, you know, a bit thick, they portrayed her as, and yet she had this beautiful voice, and they portrayed her as a little bit of the, you know, the ditzy, you know, teen starlet, so to speak. And then you didn't really hear that much of her, apart from occasionally in the news you heard about her weight, which really annoys me. Why do we need to discuss celebrities and their weight? Don't get me started. But what I really enjoyed about this book, it takes you through her whole career. So I didn't really know how she got into the business. I didn't really know she was part of that whole Disney group of kids. So I thought that was interesting. I really enjoyed hearing her stories about her relationship with Nick and how that went, and also more about her current life, because I didn't know much about her. I didn't know she had children, and I certainly didn't know that she had been struggling with addiction, and that she had a trauma in her past, which she brings up. She has you know, suffered from sexual abuse, and I just thought that it was really candid and open and honest, and I listened to it on audio while I was following along in the book, and I really enjoyed having her new singles at the back. There was I think 4 or 5 songs at the end, which I thought was really good and a really nice touch. And I just think it was a really inspiring book to see someone of not too far off an age from me who's suffered from different things, who suffers with her weight and suffers with addiction, and who is learning to love herself. And I just found that really empowering and a really good read. So I gave that one 4 stars. And actually, it must be a little bit of a month of non-fiction, because one of the other books I want to talk to you about is More Than a Woman by Caitlin Moran. Now, I love her to bits. I remember reading her How to Be a Woman book, which is another non-fiction sort of manifesto of being in your 20s, when I was in my 20s. And I remember waking my husband up some nights going, this is so funny, you've got to hear this, it's so relatable. And so I thought, I'm going to pick up More Than a Woman, because maybe this is, you know, more about my age still, and it's sort of your 30s 40s. She's so open and honest in this. There's a section about her daughter who suffers from an eating disorder and how paralyzing that is as a parent, and how devastatingly frustrating and upsetting, and how just not knowing what to do, and how that feels, and how to feel like you can't help your child must be, well, it's just the most heart-wrenching of things. And I thought that was an incredibly moving section. I had some tears going on during that, and I know that she got her daughter's permission to write that section, which I just think is amazing to share that with people who might be going through the same thing. And then it was also filled with Moran's sort of her humour that comes through all her writing. One of my favourite bits is when she talks about those things that we never talk about but we all suffer from, and then we think we're freaks. And you know, switch off now if you don't want a bit of you know, content that's a bit over the top, maybe a bit too much sharing. But I don't know if it's just women of a certain age or when you've had a baby, but I realised years ago, after having Matilda, that occasionally I love a good bath, and I'd get out the bath and I'd dry myself off and I'd put my pyjamas or my clothes on, and then I'd be wandering around making a cup of tea maybe 20 minutes later, and all of a sudden it would feel like I'd wet myself, and I hadn't wet myself, and it was bath water coming out of my vajayjay, and felt a bit like a freak, and that something was wrong with me. And I've never really discussed it with anybody, and then I read in her book that it happens to her, and that she said it in front of a load of people at a interview, and they all laughed and knew what she was talking about. And I just felt, yes, these are my sisters, we're part of a group. So I just love her wit, her humour, the way she writes things. I really liked the format of this book. It's written as if it was through a day. So she's like, you know, 9 AM, get the kids up, and then she talks about what it's like having kids of a certain age, and then she talks about sex with your partner when you get to a certain age and you've been together for that long, and she talks about time for yourself, and she talks about work commitments, and she takes you through all these different things in a really nice way. It works really well. I like how she's formatted it. Whether these were a load of essays that she'd written before and she's just formatted them into a book in one, which is possible, it didn't matter to me. I really enjoyed this, and I also listened to that on audio as I followed along, because she read it herself, which was brilliant. And then the third book is a fiction book, and oh, I should have said I gave that one 4 stars. All of these were 4 stars. And the last one is Sweet Bean Paste, which is by Durian Sukigawa. I really enjoyed this. It was a translation from Japanese, which it's original Japanese, and it's about a man. He's come out of prison. We never really find out why, but he is working in a dorayaki cafe or sort of stall where he makes the dorayaki, although he buys the sweet bean paste in, and it's about this relationship that he forms with an old lady who comes to ask for a job, who makes this amazing sweet bean paste from scratch. However, she is someone who hold on, the dog needs a wee. Apologies about that. The dog has learnt to bark at the back door if he needs a wee or poo. Thumbs up for that, but you know, annoying when you're trying to film. So she is not someone who the owner of this stall wants to work there for various reasons, and I don't want to spoil it by telling you why. But we learn about the relationship there, we learn about the friendships, we learn about finding your sort of calling a little bit, we learn about the history of Japan and a certain illness. And there's also a relationship with these two, with a young schoolgirl, and we find a bit out about her background. So it's really about friendship and acceptance, and there's a lot of sensual cooking and food, which I really enjoyed, and a little bit of history, and I really enjoyed that. So those were the books that I wanted to talk about this month. Now for the TV, which I watched quite a bit actually. Me and Tracy are currently watching RuPaul's Drag Race season 13 from the US, and also the second season of the UK, and we're enjoying that very much. We watch one on a Tuesday night and one on a Saturday night, and play our usual board games together. We are currently playing the latest version of Unlock, so we did the first one this week, and we're going to do the other two in a few weeks. This dog is going to bark, and he's not going to the toilet, so I'll go and see. No, just wanted to go outside and play with the stones. So yes, so we're watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I watched the whole series of Bling Empire, which was brilliant. It was about a group of Asians in LA, incredibly rich. I mean, just mind-bogglingly rich, and the things that they get up to, which I find fascinating, and their relationships and things going on in their life and the way that they are with money. It was good. It had its ups and downs. It had some comical bits. It had its sort of bits where you cringe for them. It had some really hard topics in there, things to do with expectations of in-laws and family, and also about you know, parents that aren't around. Yeah, so there was a lot of different things in there, but I really enjoyed that. I watched Night Stalker, which is a documentary talking about how they caught the Night Stalker, who was a very prolific serial killer who didn't seem to have an MO, who terrorized the area of Hollywood. Yeah, he was in the Los Angeles area, and Richard Ramirez, hit a paedophile, stalker, serial killer, murderer, didn't have a type, torturer, horrible. And really this follows their how they tried to discover who he was and how they eventually caught him, and I thought it was riveting and very scary and made me very uncomfortable at home during the time I was watching it, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. Me and Matilda have been enjoying watching Pooch Perfect with Sheridan Smith. My mum told me about this quite a long time ago when she was in New Zealand with my nieces and nephew. They watched it together. It's a show where dog groomers come together. They're set challenges each week. Someone gets, well, people get knocked out. It's a knockout competition basically for dog groomers, and me and Matilda have just been loving watching what they do, seeing the little puppies and the dogs come through. So we're really enjoying watching that once a week, and that is on BBC. And then I watched Bridgerton, like most of the world, and really just gobbled that one up. I loved it to bits. I thought it was really good. If you haven't heard of it, where have you been? And I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, it's sort of a period piece about mainly about one, well, there's a couple of families, but one family in general. The books, because these are based on books, is about the brothers and the sister and who they end up marrying, and it's each book focuses on one of their family's relationships and like romance, and it was steamy and it was great, and it was amazing to see so many wonderful different backgrounds and ethnicities and colours of skin all seen on screen. It was just really good, you know, really wonderful to see, so I enjoyed that. And then something that I've really enjoyed, and I don't know what the general consensus is of this, was Fate, the Winx saga, which was a Netflix original series that is based on the Winx series. Now, I know that Winx is quite a big fandom, and I think there might be comics and graphic novels, and there's definitely cartoons because my daughter has watched them, and I don't know much about that. So I watched this from a new perspective and with a new eye, and I quite enjoyed it. It's about a school for fairies. It's about this sort of danger that's lying beyond the borders. It's about a new girl that starts that doesn't really know where she's from or her powers, and it's how she discovers that and discovers a group of friends and a love interest, and I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was easy watching, fun, heart racing, thrilling, a bit romantic. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will definitely be watching the second series of that. So that's some things that I have been enjoying. Also, I've got myself this, and I'm really looking forward to giving it a go. I've been watching the Crate Pottery Throwdown, another thing that I really enjoy, and it's now on season 2, and I've been loving catching up on that. And I'm not a potter, and I don't think I could be, but I've always wanted to try this, and it's called kintsugi, and this is a kintsugi kit. So kintsugi is the art of smashing ceramics and then fixing them together using gold, and I've always wanted to give it a go, and it's meant to be very good and therapeutic and showing how you can make something beautiful about how something that's damaged, and I love that idea. So this kit, it says celebrate imperfection by repairing your own ceramics with gold. So this kit comes with everything you need. There's also 2 bowls included, sort of this colour, green bowls. They're quite small for you to practice on, so to do as your first sort of go round. And then if you enjoy it, there's probably enough of the different gold and glues and stuff in here for you to carry on and try other things. But I thought I'd get myself a little kit that has everything I need so that I can see how I get on. So I'm going to try and do that this month, and then in February when I do a bit of a wrap up, hopefully I'll be able to tell you how I got on and show you the fruits of my labour. We'll see. It might be embarrassing, but I'll still show you. So yeah, it's been an interesting month. I got a new job, which I can't start until I get my vaccine, and I'm still waiting for that. Although my group is currently being vaccinated, I fall into the over 70s category because I'm on the clinically vulnerable list, so or clinically extremely vulnerable list. So I'm waiting to get my letter for that. As soon as I've had my vaccine, I'll be able to start. I got a new job as a one-to-one teaching assistant with to a student with autism, which I'm really excited with. And just excited to get stuck into that job. So that's really great. We're settling more into the house. The dog is chilling out a little bit more. And yeah, everything's okay as long as I don't think about homeschooling, because homeschooling sucks even when you're in the profession, because your kids don't want to be taught by you. Even if you're a teacher or a teaching assistant, your kids just don't want you teaching them. They want you to be the parent. And so we've been having fun and games and tantrums and tears, and that's just me from that. So but things could be worse. So I will catch up with you soon, and I hope you were all safe and well and wearing your masks and doing your best to safely distance. And if you see dogs walking around, please don't stroke and touch them, because their owners have to then take them home and touch them themselves, and it does make life much more difficult at being safe. So just think about that, and think about what you're doing, and think about putting others at risk and how you can not do that, and just be safe. And I'm sending you all kisses. Bye for now, BookTube.